Hello my loves, I'm Ellie Frost. Thank you so much for being on my channel where we are talking about the multi-dimensional approach to rapidly and radically healing and transforming during and after narcissistic abuse. And I want to talk today about some of the biggest lies we've been told about narcissism. The first one, that this is just a personality disorder, right? This is the most ridiculous thing that is being forced into people's minds. Narcissism is a spiritual sickness, yeah? It's everything we've read about in centuries in scriptures. A narcissist, so in the universe, there's different consciousness, right? Love is a consciousness on one level, fear is a consciousness. In the case of a narcissist, they've soul detached. They're detached from their soul. They've made a spiritual choice, and they're operating with an entity of consciousness that we're calling narcissism. The reason you can see this is true is because they follow the exact sequence of behaviours. In any other personality disorder or anything psychological with an individual, they'd still have quite unique ways of expressing themselves. With narcissism, they go through an exact sequence. It's like a computer program or a virus. That's what's going on. And when you're under attack from a narcissist, it's a spiritual attack. You know it. You feel it on your soul level. You feel it on a psychic level. It's like someone's possessed you. The narcissist is possessed and they're trying to possess you. It's a spiritual issue way beyond a personality disorder. The second thing I want to talk to you about is that we've got this overemphasis. And one of the biggest lies is this is because of what's wrong with you. Your codependency, your childhood wounds, your insecurities. Look, everyone has your empathy. Everyone has those things, and they're easy access points for a narcissist to target you. However, they're not the reason that you're being, that you have to be abused. They're just things that make you more vulnerable to attack. So like me, I grew up in an abusive environment, an abusive household. I was more likely to submit to abusers, to, certain behaviours have become normalised to me, right? But that's not the reason you're attracting a narcissist. You're attracting a narcissist because they're on the planet as predators, and they're going to go for two things. What they actually go for is what they can get out of you. Right? Life force energy, your energy is very important to them. They live off other people's personal power and life force energy. So even if you think you haven't got a lot to offer, to them you have, right? That, they're also predators. So it's what they can get out of you and what's the easiest way in. So if you've got childhood wounds, vulnerabilities, insecurities, which every human being has, and you have the right to grow without being abused because of those things. So, it's not because of you, it's because of them. It's a spiritual sickness. Number 3, a narcissist is a traumatized child. Nothing to do with it. Most people here have gone through severe levels of trauma and do not go out intentionally trying to hurt, manipulate and destroy other people like narcissists do. So narcissists cause trauma. They are not actually often the result of it. Is there some reason that we've been taught this in popular culture. We love the movies where you see the sociopath and then, you find out their background story and it was because of what happened when they were a child. But it's not actually human nature to want to maliciously hurt other people, abuse other people, dominate, control, exert power over other people in ways that are not good for them just because we've been traumatized. In fact, a lot of people that are really traumatized, you'll see this in narcissistic abuse dynamics, are the ones that can't function. The narcissist goes off scot-free because they're not traumatized at all. They've soul detached, right? And they're operating with an entity of consciousness that is all about power, domination and control. So they're not just a traumatized child. They don't resemble a child in any way. Yeah, because a child is innocent. A narcissist is intentional. They see your pain, they know what they're doing, and they do it on purpose. It's how they get off. They are very sick beings that get off on your pain. Another lie. Narcissist abuse is part of your spiritual awakening. Some people, you will awaken because you have no choice. For a lot of people on this planet, very sadly, it will completely limit your consciousness, your evolution, and your growth. They are not part of your spiritual awakening. They're not your soulmate, and they're certainly not a twin flame. A twin flame would never intentionally hurt you, right? They're a distortion on the planet. It's an energy that's got out of balance, right? There's always going to be dark and light energies, but they're not your shadow either. They're not reflecting you. Is it true that some people mirror us? Yes. As it is also true that understanding quantum physics, things like law of attraction, we attract some things that we are. But we also get targeted by predators, and there are things that come into our life that have got nothing to do with us and everything to do with them. That's what narcissists are. So for most people, this is why we've got to put the balance right. It will not be part of your spiritual awakening. In fact, it will block your evolution, because if you want to stop someone growing, you stop them self-realizing and self-actualizing, and that's what happens in the cycle, right? And trauma literally freezes your energy, so you don't grow. So they are not part of your spiritual awakening. For some people, they will have grown, right, because they'd have had to, but for a lot of people, they get very stuck, and in fact, they don't evolve at all. They're here to steal your destiny, limit your potential, and block your growth, right? So this narrative is a fairy story. It's not the truth. Let's look at, well, you know, a lot of gaslighting going on in the psychological industry. Now look, there's a couple of things. I teach a multidimensional approach because this is a multidimensional issue, one that affects you emotionally, energetically, spiritually, physically, and consciously and subconsciously. So we've got to look at it at all aspects. But actually, my work integrates all aspects, so you heal very fast. If you try and isolate just the mind aspect and ignore the whole, you're ignoring the impact that this has had on you. So you can't heal it on just one level. And often in the industry, they're using the wrong tool for the wrong job, if you like. They're not using the right tool for the right job. So what I mean by that is, for example, the energetic work I teach and how to process emotions heals trauma faster than talking therapy, because you can't outthink trauma. Actually, the symptom of trauma is that you're going in a loop, you're ruminating, you're going over and over things. So we have to understand the right tool for the right job, and there's been a misunderstanding, and partly because what's out there in healing and therapy is very isolated in the modality. It's not integrated and holistic. So we need holistic approaches to actually heal this fast. Beyond that, and this is the truth, when you understand some of our society, let me just say as it is, some of our society is based on narcissistic structures of power, domination and control that are constantly gaslighting us and constantly keeping us in a low vibration, a low awareness, so we don't self-actualize, take our own power back, come into our authentic and abundant lives, right? So because we've had that predominantly in society, that's why a lot of people are invested in gaslighting you as to what this really is and not wanting you to see through it, because there are people that, you know, there are structures in our society that rely on you being blind to when you're being manipulated, when you're being gaslit, actually even abuse, right? That time on the planet has to be over now. We need to just not tolerate it on any level and take our power back. Everything about the narcissistic abuse cycle, the most interesting thing is it relies on our energy. It relies on you giving your power away, you investing your energy. They can't survive. You're the battery source. They can't carry on as narcissists without us fueling them. Same with every structure and organization that relies on the masses to invest in them in some way to exist. So actually, by seeing this, by evolving past it, and by not being willing to play the game in the old way, right, we actually will create much better systems and structures on the planet, come into our own self-actualization and happiness and fulfillment and truth, and not be gaslit, suffering, trying to solve problems that are actually quite simple when you know the truth, and believing that we have to be in these power dynamics that are bad for the self, bad for the soul, and actually bad for your own potential and growth. Lots of love, guys. I'll speak to you soon.